Welcome to the algebra class. We are doing chapter 2, section 3 and 4. Section 3 deals with adding integers and subtracting integers. When we add integers, if the signs are the same, we add and keep the sign. For example, if I have a -2 plus a -3, the signs are the same, so I keep the sign and just add the numbers. 2 plus 3 is 5. So the answer is -5. Now, if I have two positive values, 2 plus 3 equals 5. If their signs are different, we subtract and we take the sign of the number that there is more of, or that has the greater absolute value that's farther from 0. Example, if I have -2 plus 8, I go 2 to the left and 8 to the right, so I subtract the two numbers and I get 6, and there's more of the 8, or 8 is farther from 0, so the answer is +6. And that would be this example. And if I want a negative result, an example that would show that would be like -10 plus 3. Again, the signs are different. I subtract, I get 7, and there's more of the negative, or the negative value is farther from 0, so I get -7. When we subtract integers, we change subtraction to addition and do the opposite of the number that comes after the subtraction sign. And then we apply the rules for addition. So in these problems here, 3 minus 12 becomes 3 plus a -12, which comes out -9. Since the signs are different, subtract and take the sign of the number that there is more of. A -7 and a -1 minus 1 becomes -7 plus a -1, which equals -8. And then the last example, we'll change subtraction to addition and change the sign of the second number, and we get +6, since there is more of the 10. You will also see problems where you have the opposite sign in front of a set of parentheses, and it means to take the opposite of everything inside. So the opposite of A would be the opposite of A, and this is the opposite of B, which becomes +B. It's very similar to multiplying by a -1. So in this problem here, I have 7, bring that down, plus y. And I'm going to take the opposite of everything inside, so it'd be -7 plus y. Bring down the minus y. Then collecting like terms, -7 and 7 are opposites, so they go out. A y and a -y, or the opposite of y, those are opposites, they go out, so my answer is y. In the second example, bring down the h, the plus and the 8, take the opposite of everything inside the parentheses, so it'd be the opposite of -9 would be +9, and the opposite of +h would be -h. Collecting like terms, h's are opposite, so they would drop out, making 0, and 8 plus 9 is 17. And a couple more examples so that you're prepared for your assignment. We have 4 minus 9. I would go ahead and just work out the inside. 4 minus 9. Now you don't have to change it to addition once we've gone through those rules, because this is the same as saying +4 and a -9, so we get -5. So you could also treat the minus as a negative sign. And then we have minus. This is a -8 plus 7, which gives us -1. We subtract and we get 1, and there's more of the negative. So now we have -5 minus the -1. So that becomes the opposite of -1, or +1. Or you can also think of multiplication. A negative times a negative is positive. So -5 plus 1, signs are different, subtract, I get 4, and there's more of the negative. Example B, we have 8 minus a -3, that would be 8 plus 3. And then we're going to work the inside here since they're all numbers. That'd be 4 plus 3. So now we have 8 plus 3 minus 7. Left to right, 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 minus 7 equals 4. Example C. Bring down the 8 plus x. Take the opposite of everything inside the parentheses. So the opposite of 6 is negative 6. And the opposite of x is positive x. And bring down the minus x. Collecting like terms, this x and the opposite of x are opposites, so they will pop out. 8 minus 6 is 2, and 2 plus x is your answer. In the last example, bring down the m plus 3. Take the opposite of everything inside. So the opposite of negative 6 is 6, and the opposite of m is negative m. M and negative m, or the opposite of m, make 0, so our answer is 9. Ready to do the assignment, so you need to get your paper out. You have your full heading, math room number, full name, full date. Skip a line. The full title is page 61, written 1 to 60. And we're doing the evens. So on page 61, number 2, the directions are simplify. Copy the problem down. We have 154 minus 281. For the first 12 problems, change it to an addition problem and then solve it. And after that, we're going to use the shortcut. So this is 154 plus a negative 281. The signs are different, so I take 154 from 281. That gives me 127. And there's more than negative 281, so it's negative 127. Number 4, I have 47 minus a negative 49. We're going to change it to an addition problem. So that's 47 plus 49. Signs are the same. Add. Keep the sign. It's 96. Problem number 6. Copy it down. It's negative 25 minus a negative 9. Change it to an addition problem, negative 25 plus 9. The signs are different, so I take 9 from 25 and get 16. And there's more than negative, so the answer is negative 16. Skip a line, number 8. Problem is negative 5.1 minus 6.7. Change it to an addition problem, negative 5.1 plus a negative 6.7. The signs are the same, so I add them, the two numbers, and I get 11.8 and keep the sign. It's negative. Problem number 10, we have negative 106 minus a negative 95. Change to addition, negative 106 plus 95. The signs are different. Subtract 95 from 106. That gives us 11, and there's more than negative, so the answer is negative 11. Problem number 12, we have 2.95 minus a negative 2.55. Change to addition, 2.95 plus 2.55. Change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the number that comes after it. They're both positive, so we add them together and we get 5.5 positive. Problem number 14, the problem says negative 6 decreased by negative 32. We're going to translate that to a math problem. Negative 6 decreased by minus a negative 32. Change it to addition. The signs are different, so we subtract, we get 26, and there's more of the positive 32, so the answer is 26. Skip a line, 16, 15 less than negative 3, and that translates the opposite way. So negative 3 minus 15, that's 15 less than negative 3. Now, because I want you to get into using the minus sign as the sign of the number and avoid changing everything to plus and negative to save it. Because the problem is if you look ahead at number 28, for example, it's going to get kind of messy if we don't. So this actually says -3 and a -15, which equals -18. So you can do that now. 18, I have 275 minus the quantity 80 minus 65. Copy the problem down. So we're going to work out what's in the parentheses since they're numbers. 80 take away 65 is 15. And now we just subtract. Signs are the same, so we get 260. Number 20, we have 193 minus 30 minus 75. Again, subtract what's in the parentheses. And 30 minus 75, that's a positive 30 and negative 75, so that gives us negative 45. And then we change it to negative minus a negative becomes plus 45. And we add those together, we get 238. Skip a line, number 22. We have 42 minus 50 minus the quantity 73 minus 60. 42 minus 50, that's a positive 42 and a negative 50, so that gives us negative 8. Minus 73 minus 60 is 13. So that's a negative 8 and a negative 13, which is negative 21. I'm not changing them to addition unless I have to. So that negative 8 and that minus is actually plus a negative 13. I'm just not showing that anymore. Number 24, I have 42 minus 33 minus the quantity negative 7 plus 12. 42 take away 33 is 9, minus a negative 7 plus 12 is 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. (26) 910 minus 939 minus 201. Using your order of operations, subtraction from left to right, 910 minus 939. That's a positive 910 and a negative 939, so I get negative 29. And bring down the minus 201. So I have negative 29 and a negative 201, which is negative 230. Again, I'm not changing them to addition. 28. Negative 15 minus 6 minus the quantity, negative 7 minus a negative 10. I'm going to work out what's in the brackets. That's a negative 7 plus 10 that I do have to change to addition. So I have negative 15 minus 6 minus negative 7 plus 10 is 3. Moving from left to right, a negative 15 and a negative 6 is negative 21. And minus 3 or plus a negative 3 equals negative 24. Problem 30, 18 minus 14 plus 15 plus 7 minus 26. If I take the positives and add them together, that's another possibility. I get 33 plus 7 is 40. And the two negatives make negative 40. So 40 minus 40, I get 0. And 32, I have negative 11 minus 43 plus 1 minus 9 plus 30. I'm going to do the same thing again and collect the like numbers, ones with the same sign, negative 11 and a negative 43 and a negative 9. I know negative 11 and negative 9 make negative 20. Added to the negative 43 is negative 63. And then the 1 plus 30 is 31. Signs are different. Subtract, I get 32, and there's more of the negative 63. Problem 34. says negative 54 decreased by the difference between negative 37 and 15. So this would be the correct problem. Negative 54 decreased by the difference, that indicates the parentheses, between negative 37 and 15. So bring down the negative 54 and work out what's inside. That's a negative 37 and a negative 15. So that gives you negative 52. Now this has to be changed to addition because I got the two negatives, so that's plus 52. Signs are different, subtract, I get 2, and there's more of the negative, so it's negative 2. 36, translate to math, the difference between negative 59 and 12, so it'd be negative 59 minus 12 in parentheses, decreased by minus 72. Work out what's in the parentheses, they're both negative, so that's negative 71. Minus 72, they're both negative, because that's plus a negative. I'm not going to change it though. And so it's negative 143. Since the signs are the same, add them and keep the sign. Problem 38, copy it down. It says the opposite of 4 minus y. So everything inside I take the opposite of. So that equals negative 4. The opposite of negative y, or opposite of y, is plus y. You can treat them as signs, the negative times a negative, or the opposite of a negative. Skip a line, number 40 says 8 minus the quantity y plus 8. So that's equal to 8. Distribute the minus sign, or the opposite. The opposite of y is the opposite of y. And a negative times a positive, or the opposite of a positive, is negative 8. The 8 and the negative 8 are opposites, so the answer is negative y, or the opposite of y. 42, I have n minus the quantity 4 plus n. So I'm going to take the opposite of everything inside, so it's n minus 4 minus n. N and minus n, or n and the opposite of n, makes 0, so the answer is negative 4. 44, translate the opposite of the sum, that's parentheses, of negative 7 and y. So that's the opposite of the sum of negative 7 and y. So we take the opposite of everything inside. The opposite of negative 7 is 7. The opposite of positive y is negative y. And there's our answer. 46, the opposite of the difference between x and 4. So the opposite, difference indicates parentheses, of x and 4. So we take the opposite of everything inside. And the opposite of x, the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. 48, we have s minus a negative 3 minus the quantity, s plus negative 3 minus 3. So you copy the problem down. S minus the negative 3 is s plus 3. And then we take the opposite of everything inside, so the opposite of s is negative s, and the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. And then bring down the minus 3. The s and the opposite of s add up to 0. Positive 3 and negative 3 add up to 0, so our answer is 3. Skip a line, number 50 says the opposite of 10 minus k minus the quantity k minus 12. So I'm going to take the opposite of everything here. So that'd be negative 10 plus k. The same here, the opposite of everything here. Negative k plus 12. Positive k, negative k, opposites. Negative 10 plus 12 equals 2. Subtract, the signs are different, and there's more of the 12. 52. The quantity 7 minus 2y subtracted from the quantity 11 minus 2 pi. So it's 11 minus 2 pi minus the 7 minus 2 pi in parentheses. So 11 minus 2 pi, there's nothing in front of the parentheses, I can drop them, and then take the opposite of everything here, so that'd be negative 7 plus 2 pi. A negative 2 pi and a positive 2 pi are opposites, they make 0, and 11 minus 7 is 4. 54, evaluate each expression if A is negative 4, B is 5, and C is negative 1. So B is 5 minus C, which is negative 1, minus the absolute value of A, which is negative 4. So 5 minus the negative 1 is 5 plus 1. The absolute value of negative 4 is positive, so it would be minus 4. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 minus 4 equals 2. 56, the absolute value of B, 5, minus C, which is negative 1, minus A, which is negative 4. So working out inside, I have the absolute value of 5 plus 1. This becomes minus the negative 4, becomes plus 4. The absolute value of 6 plus 4. So that would be 6 plus 4, which is 10. 58, the absolute value of C, and C is negative 1. Quantity of that. Whoops, no problem. The absolute value of negative 1, which is C, minus B, which is 5, minus the quantity, the absolute value of A, put in negative 4, minus C, which is negative 1. Okay, the absolute value of negative 1 is 1, so we have 1 minus 5, minus, and then work out what's in parentheses. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4, minus the negative 1 is plus 1. So we have 1 minus 5 minus, add this up inside, grouping symbol is 5. Going from left to right, 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Minus 5 equals negative 9. Or you could have added the two negatives, you have 1 minus 10. And the last problem, 60, the quantity of the absolute value of C, which is negative 1, minus B, which is 5, minus the absolute value of A is negative 4, minus C, which is negative 1. So this is the quantity of 1 minus 5, since the absolute value of negative 1 is 1, minus the absolute value of negative 4, which is 4, minus a negative 1, which becomes plus a positive 1. 1 minus 5 is negative 4, minus 4 plus 1. So we have negative 8 plus 1, which is negative 7. And that concludes the evens. Be sure and check your answers as you do each odd and ask for help.